What's up, guys? It's Amanda from amandahenley.com. It is WooWoo Wednesday, and I am here in my sacred space to talk with you today about how I use oracle decks throughout my day. If you follow me on social media, you know that every single morning I pull a card from a deck. And this is not something that I have always done, but it's something that I've done super regularly for probably the last 3 years, I would say. And decks are something that I've always been really drawn to. I can remember when I was in massage school, that was 2005 maybe, my mentor would always have a deck on her desk. And one of the best parts of my day would be just wandering into her office, choosing a card at random and reading its message. It was always applicable. It was always touching in some way. It always was exactly what I needed to hear. I loved just pulling that little bit of inspiration and incorporating it into my day. As I grew and I started to come up with my own practices, I started to accumulate decks, and now I have lots of decks to choose from. I find a lot of times affirmation decks just have short, sweet little snippets on them. A lot of times they are correlated with a book, so they'll take little blurbs from a book and stick them on a card just as a quick reminder throughout your day. The other kind of deck that I find myself using a lot are tarot decks or a variation of tarot decks. Tarot decks are something that has different suits generally. So I have a couple different variations of tarot decks. Right now in my journey, those are my favorite. But I also have some others that are oracle decks that come with books. So the first thing I want to say is decks are so personal. You have to go somewhere where you can really connect with the deck. And I've said this about a lot of things in the past. I love choosing out crystals, pieces, everything in person, because I really want to touch and feel and figure out what that energy does to me. So most of my decks I have purchased in person. A couple of them I have purchased at a suggestion from a friend on Amazon. Almost all of them are available on Amazon. Barnes & Noble is also a really great resource because they carry a lot of them. Usually it's somewhere near the metaphysical self-help section that you can find those. But I'm just going to show you a couple of mine and two different ways that I use them on a super regular basis. So there are basically two main ways that I use my decks personally. The first way is just to randomly draw a card. And like I said, I love doing that in the middle of the day. If I'm feeling down or I'm feeling a little heavy, I love coming up and just randomly picking something up. The second way is actually what I do at least twice a week, and I do what's called a 3-card reading. You can find all kinds of different tarot readings on Pinterest, online, that will tell you exactly what each card stands for in that particular spread. But the most important part for that type of drawing for me is that I use a deck of cards that comes with its own guidebook. And the reason I love the ones that come with a guidebook is because they tell me what each individual card means. If you are to start out studying tarot, it is really something that a lot of people, different cards mean different things to them personally. And as they hone in their practice, they really start to create this whole meaning of their own. For me, I like a book that I can look up the card, read what its meaning is, and apply it to myself. When I decide I'm gonna do a reading, I generally lay down this nice white blanket. It just feels luxurious, it feels clean, it feels light, and I just love doing a reading on this blanket. So I've got my sage and my abalone shell, I've got my feather, I have a crystal that I love. It's just something that I like to feel surrounded by the things that make me feel the best. The deck that I'm going to use to do this reading is called the Akashic Tarot. It's simply the one that I am feeling the most connected to right now. I'll put a link for this below in the description. It's a big deck. It's a 62 card deck. Most decks are a little bit smaller, but I really love this deck, I'm feeling all kinds of good energy from this deck. So this is the one that I'm gonna do this reading with today. First thing I do is just take a deep breath and center myself. I light my sage. I like to clear my deck as well as my space. You can see I've got all these other decks out because I wasn't sure which one I was gonna use, but this is it. This is the one I'm supposed to use today. All right, so I'm gonna let that sage burn. Sometimes I'll burn some Palo Santo too. It just depends on how I feel. If you have a question that you're looking for a specific answer or guidance to, now is the time that I really focus in on that question. Sometimes I'll close my eyes. I will, ask my spirit guides. I will really just focus on that question and what's at hand. Other times I'm just looking for guidance. What you got for me, right? What do I need to know? What is it that I need to be more aware of? And that's just kind of an open reading. Those are my favorite because a lot of times there's like some crazy aha moments during those. But then I pick up my deck and I just shuffle my deck until it feels good. And I wish I had a better explanation for that, guys, but truly I do. Just shuffle it until it feels like, okay, that's good. That's where it's supposed to be. So once I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be, I hold them in my hand and I take the top 3 off. I'm gonna move this camera. Once I have my 3 cards laid out, I'm gonna flip over the one to the left. This is the one that represents something from the past. So this could be something you're dealing with from the past, a person, a problem, anything, but it represents the past. So this is, for me, this is the 2 of Keys. I'm gonna look up in my book what the 2 of Keys says. And this one says, a man looks dejectedly at a smashed treasure chest in a room that obviously has been robbed and plundered. Behind him, a stream of light shines from below the lid of an unbroken chest that rests on a small table, the only piece of furniture in the room that hasn't been touched. This card represents a great loss or disappointment in your life right now. It could be the loss of a job, a relationship, or even an opportunity. But remember that this phase is temporary. It might take some time and effort to rally your focus to recover, but there's a great treasure within you that's always available. The little chest represents that part of you that is filled with light. It isn't vulnerable and it can never be lost or damaged. When you focus on what's wrong or what's lacking, it perpetuates that sense of emptiness and victimization. So don't get yourself lost in loss. Open the lid to your light and let it illuminate your way. There are other opportunities and greater wealth waiting for you to discover. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you've followed my story a little bit, but that's totally applicable. One other thing that is super different about this deck is if I were to turn a card over and it was upside down, it has a different meaning. Not every deck is that way, but it will tell you in the book. It will say upright and reverse, and it will give a difference for each. So the middle card is your present circumstances, something having to do with what you're currently going through. And then the third card to your right is about the future, something that can help you moving forward from this time. That, guys, is my basic 3-card reading. I do that, I don't know, maybe once a week, twice a week. The second way that I use this deck is it sits here on my stand, and in the morning I come up here first thing with my coffee. I shuffle just like I did the first time, and I just pull 1 card from the top and I read its message. I find that it's always applicable. It's always a fantastic way to start my day, and it always lets me know that I'm supported and connected in ways that I can't see. So those are my tips for doing your own tarot card readings. I will put a link below to my favorite decks. If you have a deck that you love, I'd love to hear about it in the comments so I can check it out. Please make sure you take the time to click that subscribe button. I upload content multiple times a week, and Wednesday is always WooWoo Wednesday here on my channel. So I'm sharing new metaphysical information every single week. I hope your day is jam-packed full of love and light, and I'll see you next week.